Do you ever have one of those moments where you just feel like you're talking in circles and you're making no sense to anybody and you're just confusing yourself? No, me neither. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what radio you actually need versus which radio you actually want. Now, I'm not going to judge anybody. Obviously, I have a APX 8000 here and I really like it. I think it's a great radio. But is this one that I actually need? Well, let's talk about a couple of different use case scenarios for the amateur radio guy like me, maybe like you, who are non-professional users of these radios. Obviously, if you're part of a fire department, police department, search and rescue, whatever response department you're a part of, you're going to have a different case scenario than I am. But let's talk about a couple of pros and cons between a very expensive and a moderately expensive radio. So the very expensive radio has a few cool pros. One, this is Bluetooth enabled, this is not. This has a lot of new features, a lot of new accessories that can adapt to it. This has been around, 15 years or so, but lots of people are making components for that. This has been around a lot longer and people historically have made things for it, but I see that it might be going away at some point. There's less development for this radio than there is for this one. This has a bigger scan list than this one. This has a scan list of about 32 to 34 channels. I know it's a weird number, but they have a weird system. This is limited to 16 channels. This has a better readout. When you're looking at the display, you can very easily read the name of the zone and the channel. It gives you more opportunities for longer character strings to name things. This, on the other hand, has a much more limited landscape for the radio channel designators. I have this set up to read longer channels and display no zone. Not that that's a bad thing, but it depends on your use and case. This radio, I'm intimidated about letting anybody borrow because if they drop it, break it, smash it, lose it, I'm out a lot of money. This one, I'm out a lot less. Might save some friendships. This radio is rated to be waterproof. So is this one. This is the rugged version. I would be more willing to take this on a jet ski with me than this one. Why? Well, just because if I lose it or get it damaged, this one's going to make me cry less. This one is a bigger radio, and that's kind of a pain. However, I feel like this one carries on your belt a whole lot better than this one, even when it has its little holster or when you put this doodad on it. Okay, I carried this one around today for a project and it was very comfortable. It's well balanced. It worked really well. By the way, no, this is not the factory antenna for this radio, but the guy I bought this radio from did not have any more antennas, so I pulled one off of a APX, and this one's a VHF 7800 because that's all I had. It seems to work really well though. I haven't had any issues with it, but yes, I acknowledge that. I do really like that this radio has Bluetooth. I do like that I can use this Bluetooth push-to-talk transceiver. And that's really nice. Check out my other video if you want to learn what this does. The batteries. You know, I don't have a lot of experience using either of these with new batteries, to be honest. I'd say in my limited experience with secondhand batteries, they both last about the same. This is technically older technology, but I don't really see any downsides to it. If you're in a position where you want to be able to listen, you're not using this as a department, but you just want to listen to everything going on around you, then it might behoove you to actually buy a couple of XTSs. So this is UHF, this is VHF. This one happens to be what LA County would use. This is what San Diego County Fire would use. So just different options. I'll tell you what I personally use in San Diego, and this is totally an aside, but this is what I do. CAL FIRE is VHF, so I use a BKR 5000 on VHF. The reason I use this one and not this one is this has almost an unlimited scan list. Very important when you're listening to a large fire or a potential large fire. You have San Diego County Fire, you have additional CAL FIRE, you have U.S. Forest Service, you have all the different agencies communicating. And there are a lot of channels that sometimes get used in the background that aren't on the dispatch, but you can learn a lot about what's going on in a fire by listening to all of them. Then, because my county has 800 megahertz trunking system, I use the K&G P800 because it does a proper non-affiliate scan. It has wildcards. You can listen to everything that transpires on that system without the risk of affiliating at all. Now, when I say everything, obviously that does not include encrypted. Encrypted is encrypted no matter what system you're using. But these are the two that I traditionally use for monitoring incidents in my county. If I'm going out to the desert and I'm using some of the off-road racing channels, I'm probably going to take this one with me. Why? It's smaller. It's more robust. It just looks better. They make adapters for these. The BKR 5000 does not have any really good headset adapters, and that's a bit of a problem. This apparently does have a multi-pin port on the side. And when I talked to 49er Communications, they said that they're really struggling to make adapters and additional RSMs for this because there's something in it that's encrypted. Thank you, BK, for hiring all of the old Motorola techs and engineers, because now it's ruined. I digress. Getting back to which radio I would pick. These two radios do the exact same thing as this one. But if I'm using a communication system between friends who are on GMRS, off-road, and we're at the same event, I kind of like having two different radios to talk to them. An APX 7000 is cheaper than an 8000, I'll grant you that, but it still only can talk on one channel at a time, as it should. So more often than not, even though I say maybe one of these is what I'll bring with me, if I'm actually talking to folks, it's one of these. Strange, isn't it, how that works? I think that the programming software on these is easier. It's simpler. You create a personality, you create zone channel assignment, and you type it in. The software is not made to be understood by guys like us. It's made to be understood by people who are either trained technology guys or people who really like exploring it. I've been there, done that, it's fun, but these are easier. Is there a right one or a wrong one? No, it's whatever you want. But is there anything wrong with these at a tenth of the cost? Absolutely not. There is nothing wrong with them. These are great radios. Don't ever think that an XTS is a subpar radio because it doesn't have a speaker on the wrong side of the radio. Yeah, why? Why? So you can't look at it and hear it at the same time? I don't know. I know that's how the new BKR 9000 will be. It's gonna have the screen on one side and the speaker on the other, and I think that's lame. Bothers my OCD. Is there a need for anything more than these? As a hobbyist? Oh, absolutely. Always. But as a practical guy? I don't know, I've never been accused of being too practical. I don't think that it's wrong to have multiple radios, obviously. But if you're just starting out, you can still get a really cool radio at a really reasonable rate by putting a little bit of the pride aside of, I gotta have the newest, bestest, fastest, smoothest, whatever. I would really encourage people entering the Motorola rat race to get an XTS. They're great radios, and they will likely never let you down. Nothing wrong with the APX. I love them. But these XTSs are darn good for what they are.